All right. We are back at it again. Let's try to save face from yesterday's horrible magical fish. But it is what it is, right? You can't deny the horrible result. Hey Atsuki, how's it going? Good morning. I hope everything is fine with you. Hey Rolomancer, what up? I like it, Rolomancer, that you're, even though you're fresh fish, you're a consistently fresh fish. Or a consistently returning fresh fish, rather. I should have seen your magical fish. Yeah, yesterday's horrible drawing. But yeah, that's the beauty of doing these 30-minute sketches. You can hit gold, you can make an awful sketch, but it's just 30 minutes. But the rate of success should ideally be high versus rate of failure. So if you draw ugly drawing now and then, it's okay. It's not worth breaking your pen in half about. It's just a shitty drawing. I do appreciate Rolomancer, you returning and subscribing. It's really cool. Zelin, how's it going? Uber Blackthorn, how's it going? Good morning. I actually don't know if it's morning for you, Uber Blackthorn. I assume it's not, or maybe it is. Maybe you're European because you have Uber. Alright, how about some suggestions? What should I draw? I still feel like I want to be messy with paint. I want to almost like finger paint today. You're Asian, Uber Blackthorn. In Malaysia? That's pretty goddamn wicked. Hello, person in the future. Weeping Night. That's pretty cool. That made me instantly not go crying at night, but a storybook, like a weeping tree. It's sad or it's bleaking. So I went for more like a magical suit of armor. That's where I went with that suggestion of topic. The future is bleak. Nah, man. We're gonna solve this issue. Science is on it, right? The science will solve it. We just need to let the smart people do their business and buy time. That's all we gotta do. Any other topic suggestions? So we need to stay home so we don't get the smart people sick so they can solve our problems. Easy fix. I'm all open for topic suggestions, or Atsuki is gonna win by default. I'll give it a little bit longer and then we'll see. It seems like no. Oh, we got another one from Rolomancer. Granite Chewer. Oof, chewer. That's a hard word to say as a Swedish person. Not shoe, because that's SHOE. Chew. Chewer. That sounds about right. Right, we got 3 topics. Mind Seeker as well. Right, we're gonna split the dice in 3. Oh, 4. Alright, so 5, 6, I'll choose. Boom. Number dos. So, topic would be granite chewer. Chewer. God damn it. Do I need to go to school again? God damn. I don't know what I'm doing wrong in my mouth to be unable to pronounce that sound. Chewer. It's starting to sound like tumor. So I better stop saying it because it's gonna drive me nuts. Alright, so that topic, Rollomancer, Granite Chewer, made me think of Neverending Story. I assume, Rollomancer, that you are old enough. I don't know why, but I assume you're old enough to know Neverending Story movie and be old enough to have appreciated it as a young person. But I might be wrong. Alright. For those who don't know, in that movie there was this massive kind of mountain troll who ate frogs. The Flying Long Dog movie. Gesmer. That's an extremely accurate representation of that movie. Yeah, the Flying Long Dog movie. Bingo. That is 100% accurate. More than old enough, Rollomancer. And that's good. That's good. It means you're sage. You're not a young buck full of testosterone and just kind of running around in chaos, being slaved by your hormones, right? When you're old, there comes wisdom. There, Bart, you're young enough to still remember it. And that's a fantastic way to see it. I agree. That's good. You also know the Long Dog. That's hilarious. Long Dog movie is brilliant. Could experiment a little bit. Yeah, it's a cool movie. I really like I really like that movie actually. Yeah, I was it's the rock biter. Yeah, Gesmer, yeah, exactly. I don't Gesmer, you seem new. Just a point of clarification, I don't look at references when I do these warm-ups. The goal is to sketch whatever's in my mind and practice leaning into that compartment of my brain. So I don't look at references. I have the picture of the rock biter quite well in my head. As far as I remember, his head was like a shoe with a flat top, kind of. And he was really big and rocky, and he had a unicycle, I believe. Hey Fuxia, how's it going? So the overall idea of these warm-ups is to just draw something, good or bad, and not try to look at references other than on Mondays. Mondays is a study Monday, so we are looking at references on Mondays, but in general it's all about implementing knowledge that you learn or thought about without leaning on something, right? So it's like, okay, all right, son, you're on your own. and And the idea is to try to force things out and liberate yourself in terms of pressure, right? Because when we do look at references and when we do try, there's a tendency to lock up, and there's a tendency to not be free in your creative ways, because there's a pressure to perform in a certain way. So I found that doing these warm-ups at the studio, it unlocks a lot of skill and freedom in the artists at the studio, to make them enjoy the creative process. This is always, if you're gonna adopt this draw warm up every day at the exact same time mentality, there is going to be struggle. There is going to be a period where you're really, really awkward, and there's going to be a period where you're only drawing comfort zone, like monster, right? And then there's a point where for the 11th time you draw on a monster, it's getting boring, right? And then you're going to start experimenting. Then you're going to start, what if I do this? What if I do that? And then you're going to struggle because there's a new technique being used or a new approach being used. But after a while, after you keep trying and keep experimenting, you're not going to feel hindered by your own process. You're going to start to not care and be more creative. And it's a fantastic thing to see. It takes a while for the artists to get into it, but when they start, you can see like the curve is like the struggling is like success rate is low and failure is low, and it's just nothing really happens. Then experiments, and then you can see like the progression. And there's a guy called Hurri who used to work at the studio. He left now to freelance for Netflix and Aardman and other companies, right? At the beginning, he kind of had an idea of where he wanted to go, but he didn't know how to get there. And he just kept experimenting until he found on random like an artist that inspired him, and then he started doing studies, and then he started experimenting, then he started testing things out, and in the end now he has an extremely cool style, and it's all more or less due to his warm-up practices, being exposed to the right influences, and of course coaching. This sounds like I'm an asshole, but it's true. That sounded even more like an asshole. Yeah, he really, really bloomed. It took him like 2 years to get really, really good. Hey Amir, how's it going? Good morning. Welcome. Gommel sauce. I'll find his art station. You probably have seen it. He's getting more and more exposure. So his name is Hurri Wong. There's the portfolio. So these are some of the warm-ups he's done like half a year ago, so forth. And you can go back and look probably further back. Actually, let's go even further back. Like here's some earlier explorations. You can see like he's getting the idea of what he wants to do, but technically and skill-wise, he's not really there yet. But he kind of like this is 11, so he should be. We can go even further back. Here's 4, catalog or collection 4, and you can see it's even rougher. But you can still see like he's interested in texture, he's interested in shapes, but he doesn't know how to get there. And the influences are all over the place, right? And then look at some of his more recent ones. He has kind of figured out a lot more what he enjoys, and technique and process is significantly more refined. But in this collection, he has clearly been a fan of like repeating patterns. But you can see it. He's figuring himself out in the journey, and it's quite interesting to see. These are all the 30-minute warm-ups that he's doing, and that he's been made to do every day by me. Hey, Captain Jetlag, how's it going? What up? So it's really fun to see, like the being a part of his journey of him finding himself as an artist as he's progressing. And you can see influences, and more or less, not every day, but when there was a point to be made, I made sure to tell him, like, oh, you should think about this, your texture here or colors here are wrong. Like I would have done this and that and this, and he was like, all right, that's a valid point. I'll think about it next time. And the next warm up, he would try to keep that in mind in what he was doing, and try to implement that change or test it out to see what it actually does with his workflow. And it was really, really fascinating to see. And he really turned into a really good artist. And it was a true pleasure to be a part of directing him in that journey. And that's the thing, right? That's the thing that a lot of people forget. Gommelsos, yeah, 30 minutes. His approach to warm-ups are absolutely different from mine. His is more shape and color, while mine is a lot more conceptual. Like you've seen my warm-ups probably, and a lot of them are very, like design this, design that, very little illustrative stuff. Right? I'm way more production orientated. I love designing significantly more than him. He loves to come up with a very beautiful picture in that sense. But he's also a great designer, mind you. But his heart lies more in color keys and things like that. But so as I was saying, it's a really, really cool thing to see. This kind of, or it's an important thing to keep in mind as well as an artist, is like, where do I want to go in terms of style, and try to figure out what lies in my heart. This sounds so hippie, but what lies in my heart in close to like what I enjoy doing, like what's my comfort zone, because it's really important to have a comfort zone. My description of a comfort zone would be when time stops existing, when you're drawing and you're just like in the zone, listening to music and just really enjoying the experience of being creative. I would say that's the comfort zone. That's where you're happy. And if you're constantly being thrown out of your comfort zone, if you're constantly thrown out of the zone and being reminded of your issues, or like, how do I make this work? Chances are that you're drawing the wrong thing. I mean, yes, granted, there will always be technical difficulties to get what you want out of a drawing, right? Like in this instance, I am battling with certain things in this picture, but it doesn't mean I'm not enjoying drawing a rock monster, right? This is where I'm happy. I love monsters. I love designing, and now it's just a little bit different because I'm making more of a kind of illustration, but I'm still happy doing this, right? Making a monster. Versus if I would be making a car, or a vehicle, I would be significantly less happy doing that, because that's not my comfort zone. That's not what makes me tick. Designing monsters and characters what is definitely makes me a happy artist. Loops. Hurri. Hurri is not Icelandic, it's Finnish, actually. My family tree, I guess, has been in Finland for 400 years, but we're actually Swedish. And if you know Finnish, Hurri means it's a curse word. So my surname is a curse word. And that curse word is specifically for Swedish people in Finland. So that's how we kind of know we are not native Finnish, right? Because we have a curse word for a surname for Swedish people. And we've actually, because of this unique surname, we've been able to track our bloodline for over 400 years. Terve. Hyvää huomenta? Is that morning? Shit, my Finnish is shit. Gomsose. Oh yeah, I'm well aware of the curse word. Vitun hurri. But what can I do? You know, I can't not have a surname. We actually have another surname, but we don't know it. It's a bit of a weird one. But long story short, this is a surname we took when we got land in Finland from the King of Sweden. I guess you can put it like that. Hey, Ortsmore, how's it going? Loops. Oh, you speak a related language, so you're Estonian? Gomulsos, if my ancestors did something to deserve it. As far as we know, we got land in Finland, and that means, you know, we are, you know, not anyone gets land in that sense, you know. And we had servants. So our family tree in the medieval times are two. So there's the working Hurris, which are not my bloodline, who were working for the I guess nobles, which is my bloodline. So there's two family trees of Hurris. One that's not related to us, that exists in the world, like there's a certain people in the world called Hurri, which is not my family. Then all the other ones who have my surname are my actual blood relatives. So there's only two families in the world with my surname, which is obviously a curse word. The problem is we don't know the surname before we got to Finland, because obviously we took the curse word as a surname for, I don't know for what reason that happened. Maybe to mask, or we did something, I have no idea. But we have a land and a like mansion and stuff in Finland that has been passed through the family. Oh, you're Sami? That's pretty cool. Bättre folk. Yeah, I don't know how to There's an old style. 400 years ago, you know, that was the kind of behavior there was. But it's a pretty cool family history, you know. It's a very unique situation for a lot of people. I mean, you could go like, oh, I'm Smith. Oh, where did Smith originate from? Versus, oh, I'm asshole. Oh, really? Where did where did asshole originate from? Well, 400 years ago, my great dad granddad was a bit of an asshole to the degree that he got his name. Then everyone referred to him as, hey, there's Dan Asshole. I guess that's kind of what happened. I guess I have no idea. But the cool thing is, like, my big brother, he is the direct descendant for 400 years. He's the firstborn son of the firstborn son of the firstborn son for 400 years. That's crazy. We have traced back to 1608, I think, our bloodline. And 1608 is when we got the land in Finland. And during that time, it was like a time of conquering. Sweden conquered lands and stuff. So they gave land to generals and nobles to kind of populate the taken land. So I have no idea, really. Black grouse. That's pretty interesting. Hey, Loops. I'm fucking amazed that you're Sami. That's pretty cool. Props to that. For those all of you who don't know what Sami is, they are the like natives of Sweden, of north of Sweden. They are these, you know, blue and red dressed people. Of course, this is the stereotype. The blue and red dressed people that have deer, you know, up in the frozen parts of Sweden. That's of course a stereotype, but those are like the nomad originals. This specific group of people that are not large at all in the world. So we have a unicorn in the chat, people. Not Viking. They are not Viking. They are Sami. They are not the same. Lua, yeah, sure, go ahead. We got a real live unicorn in the chat, people. A-Loops is a unicorn of the human equivalent. Or he's just an asshole like me. Who knows? I just started freelancing and I have this constant fear of letting down the client. Well, you have to define what's the worry, right? Is it your skill level that's not good enough? Do you feel like you need to perform for the level of client in terms of the history of the client? Or like, what is the fear, right? What is keeping you back from enjoying the show? It could just also be confidence. So one thing that you should keep in mind and try to think about is you didn't get the contract out of a fluke, right? And they're like, I'm not sure, but let's give this guy or girl, I don't know what you are, a bunch of money and hope for the best, right? That's not going to happen. They've looked at your body of work and gone, oh, let's pay this person to do some cool art for us. So what you got to keep in mind in general is that you're not working for them out of random acts of kindness. They want your work, so do your work as good as you can do it. And whatever that is, it is what you're going to send, right, in that sense. But you shouldn't be blasé about it either. You should prepare and make sure that you do all the things you can do to ensure a good quality submission, right? And that be do research, sketching, make sure that your process is sound, so that you're limiting random chance, right? The idea of like what I started talking about a while ago on the stream is about daily routine, right? Daily sketching, and allowing you to be free and allowing you to experiment with technique. And much like Henry, he found a process that really speaks to him, and he enjoys creating, right? And that's one of the things that's really important with this routine, is that you teach yourself of how to get the most of your point out in a clear and concise way. I mean, currently now I'm sketching and talking and reading chat, and yet I'm able to produce something. But I'm also experimenting today with selections, and I'm testing things out. And this is obviously I've used selections before and know what I'm doing. I know, even though I'm experimenting, I know how to construct an image well, big to small. Undefined till defined, light to shadow, or whatever, whatever that I like to do, whichever I've practiced, I'm comfortable with. So if a client would say, "Oh, I really love your warm-ups. Can you, or like the style of this, right?" Would like, "Oh, can you design a monster for us?" I'm like, "All right." I then know that I don't need to come up with line art, right? Or come up with some out of character process to please them, just because their track record of their products are not the same as your stuff. But maybe they just want your stuff and to see what you bring to the table. And if you try to please them and alter yourself, first of all, you're going to have an awkward style. You're not going to be comfortable with it. You're not going to be in your comfort zone, which means there's a higher chance of you making a shitty image. And secondly, that's not what they're asking for, right? They're asking for you. So my suggestion would be just relax. Make sure that you have your process down. If not, start practicing it. Start thinking about it. Start defining what's the process. How in my track record, what way results in the best picture. Oh, it's when I do line art, then block out, then color, or straight to color, or whatever whoever you are. Then you go, oh, that's where I'm shining, and that's what the client wants. And if the client says, oh, I don't want you to draw like you're drawing, I want you to draw like this client or this artist that I really like, then you can go, oh, I can't do that style. Money would be great, but Imagine this guy crying because the rock is so tasty. All right, let's give him some tears of joy. He's like, man, the best rock ever. And he's rolling his eyes. Like, oh yeah, so good, rock. My favorite. Nothing like Boulder. Ortsmore. Well, the suggestion I just gave, I'm going to contradict right now, is that I do a lot of different styles for a lot of different clients. And I can learn a new style for that specific client. So I just contradicted myself. But in my line of work, in my field of expertise in the industry, is that I do a lot of pre-production and style explorations and art direction, IP development for clients. So I have to adopt something new. I have to help the client finding a new style that they didn't think about, right? Like I remember we did some work for which yet to be released, the new Microsoft avatars. You know, the Xbox avatars and all these things, right? They have already shown it on internet. But majority of the work I did there was doing research, figuring out what's cool, what's interesting, what hasn't been done before, drew up a lot of different suggestions on potential look of their new avatars, sent it to them, and they did whatever they wanted with that, right? So what I had to do was understand how to paint, what works, what style is good, what's combination of shape, texture, colors, blah, 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 blah. So a lot of times clients come and say, this is the art direction we have. We were thinking about style, like say, pixelated, half-tone, big shaped stuff. Like we found these images on the internet. We want to see, you know, we have this idea of a really strange shooter or whatever. And I go, all right, okay. So those are the pillars that you want to build your visuals on. Okay, I understand. All right, that's absolutely random. I will provide something for you based on those values. And I'll go away, I'll draw something, come up with an art direction, come up with multiple art directions, multiple style explorations within each art direction. And then they can decide whatever they want to decide. They can show to whoever has the money and they go, oh, we like option B. And then they'll go, right. So they went with option B, let's keep developing it. And they come back to me and I'll keep developing it with them with their own art director, and he'll herd the cats or she, and I'll just provide the exploration styles.
Hey, who wants to play drink the beer? Right here. You win. All right, what do I win? Another beer. Oh,
another beer. Thanks for the raid. Sadly, the stream is ending. I had to draw a granite chewer. The disc is full. Rip. Did you got any situation where you felt the client didn't value your time and was like, you're asking for too much money? Some people don't have a lot of money, especially if they're smaller companies. Holy shit. What is happening? Is some movie being updated or some like Steam updating in the background? Make some space. Hey Giacomo, how's it going? Welcome back. Not everyone has a lot of money, and this size of companies vary. So if a company asks me, smaller company asks me for my standard international rate that we do, or that I do freelance, they might not have that capacity because let's say I've worked on the next big game, right? That next big game has a lot more money than an indie project that really wants expertise help to define their game, right? So I can go, yeah, you pay me the same as the big guys, and they're like, no, what you ask for, we could have X amount of other artists. But then I can either go, yeah, okay, I'll lower my rate because I really like the project, or I'm sorry, I got this and this to do. They pay this and that. So sadly, I have to pass. Or you can find another solution. But you can't really like shit on a client that says you're asking for too much money. You can either go, oh, okay, I'm sorry, better luck, good luck finding someone else, or you can go, all right, I'll lower. What's your best offer? You need to understand that whoever writes that email is not the person that's going to give you the money for the contract. It's the company that person works for. So whatever you say, he gets an email, he forwards it or she forwards it to that person. That person will run it through the company, and the company will approve or not, depending on budget. It's not the email person that's gonna shit on you. Right? Sometimes when there's smaller companies, yeah, it is that person that's gonna shit on you, but most times it's not. Thanks for sharing. So I guess taking research and understanding the style into consideration and not just account for the execution. Yeah, the basic idea is process is beside style, and style is just like a cooking recipe for the process that you need to do, and you can alter process depending on what you're cooking, right? So some, like let's say line art, right? You do a rough, you refine, you do a block in, and so on and so on. And it's not the same as a painting like this. If I would do line art, it wouldn't be the same result, right? But that's just stylistic difference in the process. Hey, Silicon Bleach. How's it going? Rollomancers. Let's see. His granite chewer. Ooh, that's pretty dope. That's like Joe Mad. Joe Mad style. Okay, who to raid? Let's raid Tim Rivers. Let's tear down his walls. So have a fantastic weekend, everyone. Thanks everyone for joining. Silicon Bleach, thank you very much for the host. Sadly, I have to go. Thanks you all for the follows. Watcher Angie, thanks for the host raid. Have a good one. I might stream over the weekend. I'm not sure, but other than that, see you on Monday morning for Study Monday. Good night, have a great day. Let's do the outro, then take it to the raid, so don't go anywhere. You guys are fantastic. Made my day. Toodles.